Me.
Okay, so
Uh,
today is January 19th, and we just finished talking for like 50 minutes, just chatting about many things with music and all of that. But you were saying that you it was premature working with a pulse. Tell me about that.
two things. First of all, this last couple of weeks, I have been particularly challenged with my hip. And what happens, this there's a caveat because 2 days ago, I realized that I was uh, avoiding putting my right heel down because I was so afraid of the pain. The pain was so awful that I was avoiding the pain,
Mhm,
and so I wasn't using my whole foot, which
mhm,
meant that I wasn't using my weight
mhm.
in in a way that would balance things rather than lead to even more imbalance. So for the last 48 hours, I've actually had less pain because I'm using both heels when I walk. I'm
Wait,
starting
wait,
with
wait.
both heels.
So when was the pain in the heel in the that you didn't put the heel down?
Oh, for the last 3 years. We're talking the whole time that I
Oh,
have
oh,
been
oh, for the
diagnosed
last
with,
3 years. And
yeah,
then when did you start putting the heel down that you felt safe?
48 hours ago.
Okay, why? What happened?
Well, I remembered a Feldenkrais YouTube lesson that I had looked into. I watched. I didn't even know who the person was that was teaching, but it was a sitting down lesson. And the first thing she said was, uh, 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 "Feel the weight of your heels on the floor." And
Yes.
I kind of remembered that, and I tried it, and I realized that I hadn't been doing that at all with my
Correct,
right foot.
correct, correct. Got it.
So, and I found that I actually distributed the weight better when I had the heel as well as the ball of the foot. Uh, you know, being what's the word, going into the ground, having the control, the um oh, my words, having the weight of its weight on the ground. And it was I know um I've heard, there's a tripod, and I've heard there are four points, and it depends on who's teaching the class. But most of the Feldenkrais classes I've taken, they you talk about the heel bone, or the either a tripod, 3 points, or 4 points, depending on. I've heard both, but
Mhm, mhm.
so I mean, the upshot of it is I can actually take a step with less pain as I than I have up until 48 hours ago, which is pretty wild. Um, but uh, what I did find when I was using the poles, even sitting, even very slowly and very softly, is it irritated my shoulder arthritis. And I didn't feel safe uh,
Mm,
walking with them yet. So I put them aside until I saw you again.
mhm, mhm.
That's the end of that story. But what I do uh, use all the time is this new walker. And what I would love to be able to do is more and more to find the movement that will help me keep help me balance my weight so I'm not leaning on my shoulders at all.
Mm, mhm, mhm.
because
Okay.
because my right leg is considerably shorter than my left now, and also I could see that there's a good deal of loss of muscle, um, because of the strength of the severity of the arthritis on my right side, um, which is probably exacerbated by the fact that I have been using my legs so differently. Um, and I'm really quite, uh, what's the word? Deformed is a ridiculously alarmist and very, very dramatic way of saying my
Mhm.
body has really changed because of the issue,
Mhm. Mhm.
because of the
Mhm.
issues. Even with the awareness I now have of my skeleton, and I think about it all the time,
Mhm.
I still find that it is almost impossible, almost insurmountable to get a real balance in my pelvis and in my legs. So, and that's going all the way up my skeleton, obviously, my spine.
Okay, and remind me what is the holdup in getting the new
Hip.
hip? Yeah.
It is not held up anymore. The good news is I found out that my
Yeah.
cardiologist, who had to, because I had a heart attack in between, my
Oh,
cardiologist had to give me the green light on uh, coming off the blood thinning medications so that I could have the hip replacement. That's what I was waiting for. And she has
oh,
now told me that I can have it in April. And I
oh,
have now been back to the orthopedic surgeon, and they are scheduling me probably end of April. So that
oh,
is now, the path is now cleared for me to have that surgery, but not
wow.
until April.
Okay.
That's the 6 month mark after the stent was put in.
Um, okay. Um,
That's a lot of
okay.
information.
No, 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 no. I'm gonna write this down. Okay. So you were saying such good stuff. I'm like, I was listening. I'm like, I gotta write this down. So sorry, I jumped in and was grabbing my notes to write that in there. But okay, so what happens is when we have a heel up, it's going to shorten the psoas muscle. Remember we talked.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
the psoas. Do you want me to show you a picture of the psoas again,
You
or
have
do you?
already done so. I've got it
Okay,
on my video.
good. Okay, so you don't need it. So And so you can remember that it starts at the 12th thoracic vertebrae, connects to every vertebrae all the way down. Then it connects to the lesser trochanter of the hip. It connects to the inside of
Oh, like the
mm,
groin side.
yeah, the groin side, which is often why someone with hip pain feels it in the groin.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
If that's where the joint is, the hip is in here. When someone
Right.
has pain here, I'm like, oh, yay, we could work with that. So, that's not the hip. That's not the hip. That's not the hip. So, anyway, it starts in elementary school. Put your hands on your hips. So,
Right.
yeah, could you imagine? Put your hands on your hips and now do the activities. So, yeah, they have to change that with the teachers. So, that being said, this is such a drive for me to help people like in your situation where, boy, listen to the pauses between what I'm saying, right? um
You're thinking.
it's that important, right? Because when the psoas when we have pain in a leg
Mm,
and we raise the hip,
mm,
it's going to shorten the psoas
mm,
on that side.
mhm.
It's going to bend us. Look how your head is all the way over to the right.
Mhm.
It's going to bend us because that psoas is shortened, but what it is it's contracted.
Mm.
Now, the psoas is not just a muscle, it's an intrinsic part of your nervous system because the vagus nerve, like we've talked about, I'll
Mm.
say it a million more times.
Mhm. That's
Like,
okay.
like, may I please and thank you. Those are words you can say again and again, that you can say again and again, that the vagus nerve is weaves through the psoas and
Mm.
wraps around the psoas. So
Mm.
when the psoas gets shortened up, it's also not just uh not just it's just not mechanically moved up, shortened, but it's neurologically shortened because the
Right.
nervous system is involved in that.
Right.
And if 85% of the communication of the vagus nerve goes from the gut up,
Mm.
it's going to affect cardio, lungs, arteries, possibly thyroid, and up to the brain. It's going to affect digestion. It's going to affect all of that because the vagus nerve transmits information and from the belly up. So if the psoas is getting crimping it, it's not getting the information up. It'll go in spurts and spatters. Um, it's almost like a spasm.
Mhm. 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 That
When
makes
the nerve
complete
when the
sense.
nerves can't when the nerves can't send information because there's something interfering with it, they're going to
Mhm.
work so hard to send information that a big spurt of it comes through, and that becomes like a spasm of the
Mm.
nervous system, and that's spasticity. You'll see that with people with cerebral palsy. You'll
Mm.
see that with spinal cord injury. It's a
Mm.
spasticity
Mm.
that
Mm.
happens this way. The
Mm.
nervous system is trying so hard to fire off. And
Mm.
then what does the medical profession go in and they cut the nerves, they cut the
Mm.
muscles just so that they can stop firing off. But that's not your answer, right?
Mm.
They give them baclofen, they give them drugs to try to relax it.
Mm.
Well, so they're getting there,
Mm.
trying to figure out how
Mm.
to quiet the nervous system down without affecting everything else.
Mm.
And so, um, but the ultimate in the injury is the nervous system not functioning at all, which is a
Mm.
complete spinal cord
Mm.
sever,
Mm.
and then
Mm.
everything just hangs like that.
Mm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
What?
So that's the complete of the complete. That's if you cut the piano strings. But if you pinch on the piano string, the
Mm.
sound, well, that's how we play the guitar. We
Mm.
pinch on the strings, right?
Mm.
Yeah. We pinch on the string. Forget what instrument I'm playing. So we pinch on the string and it
Mm.
changes. But if we don't pinch it just right, the sound
Mm.
doesn't come through at all
Mm.
well,
Mm.
and it's
Mm.
rah, rah, rah. So the
Mm.
pinching is helping us transmit.
Mm.
Now, so that's the same with us. Now, here's the other thing that people don't talk about, but I believe it because it has to be. The nerves don't just transmit up, but they transmit out
Oh, oh, okay. Uh-huh.
because they're not encased in iron or steel,
Mhm.
right? They're
Mm.
not encased in something that it can't get through. So
Mm.
everything around the nerve that is in that area gets affected too. So if the psoas is shortened up, then the nerve can't conduct well, overconduct, not conduct enough, slow gut down. But everything vibrationally, electrically, electrochemically, do you see what I'm saying? All of those
Mhm.
ways
Mhm.
is getting and not getting that information that it needs to get.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So everything is affected. This is like in when you're saying that whole right side.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's why we go back to how is it that you check in with yourself many times a day when you're sitting, like right now,
Mm.
just as you're sitting, noticing, go in and see the psoas starting at your 12th thoracic vertebrae.
Is that the bottom vertebra?
Yes, the 12th thoracic vertebrae is the bottom of the
Of the thoracic part. Yeah.
thoracic spine, right?
Okay.
The thoracic.
Got it.
So you have cervical, which is a few
Yeah.
vertebrae here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
you have 12 of them to
Mhm.
here, and then you have the lumbar. That's
Mm.
why there's a reason why certain lumbar vertebrae get hurt and others
Mm.
don't get so hurt, etc. Okay,
Mm. Mhm.
so that being said, so just as you're sitting, and this is the thing that you do for yourself, because yay, you're going to get the surgery and we're going to do everything to make your surgery successful,
Yay.
right? And then we're going to do work before and after right away so that we ensure the success of the change that they make mechanically for you so that now then all of this integrates and works and that they're not putting anything in that you're going to be allergic to or anything like that. So that way we get, just make sure whatever metal they're putting in or something that it's a metal that isn't a recalled metal. Do your homework
Okay.
on that stuff. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
It's important. You got to do
Oh.
your homework on that because sometimes in some places they're using a product that had a recall or whatever. Just do your homework on that
Okay.
so
Okay.
that that way it ensures you all the possibility for good
Okay.
healing.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So now let's go inside just as you're sitting because you still go over onto the right side.
Mm. Mm.
And I don't know what it is, but we always fall over onto the side that hurts.
I know. I know. God
See?
knows why.
Why aren't we falling over onto the side that is our better side?
I know.
Okay, so if you didn't come to me and you went and got the replacement and you still stayed falling on that side, that wouldn't ensure the best healing
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because your habit
Mm.
is still there,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So it's kind of like people who had a messed up childhood. They go, well, if only I moved to Timbuktu and I wasn't near my family. But then they make the same issues there in Timbuktu. Well, if only I moved to Wayatoba Banuba, then I wouldn't have the issues. And they keep moving around. But guess who's the same place? Who's the same person in every single place?
That's right.
So it's the same with us. We need a new part or we need a part fixed.
Mm.
But if we're still doing the same action
Mm. Mm.
on it, we're still putting strain on that area.
Right.
So maybe that part won't heal as well, or maybe the part below it, called the knee, or the part below that, called the ankle, or the part above that is the shoulder, becomes that. Because people will say, you ever notice a lot of stuff happens on the same side with one thing on the other.
Mm.
So, with that being said, let's go to the crux.
Okay.
Bless you. I mean, not Gesundheit, bless you. Bless you for saying that. You know, the okay,
Oh.
because the crux is deeper in there.
Okay. Okay.
So as you're sitting, let your hands rest wherever you want them to rest. And you know how you said that when you did that one awareness through movement lesson, and the teacher said, notice the weight of your heels to the floor. So you notice the weight to the heels of the floor, but the weight of your heels to the floor have to do with, believe it or not, your psoas. Because if your psoas is shortened up, go ahead, shorten up your psoas on one side.
Yeah, my heel comes up.
One of the heels will come up,
Yeah, one of the heels. The one
right?
on the
So
right
let's say
side.
you
Yeah.
shorten it on the left, the right heel comes up. If you shorten it on the right, then
Really?
the left heel. Yeah. So meaning if you lift the right heel,
Yeah.
excuse me, if you lift the right hip,
Right.
the left heel comes up. If you lift the right hip, it pushes the right heel down to the floor. Okay, go to the left. The left is your easier side.
Yeah.
Lift the
Oh,
left.
oh, I
Lift,
see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yes, yes, you're absolutely right.
and you
And the
know
right heel
why?
comes up. Yes, yes, yes.
You know
Because
why?
your pelvis moves to
Your
the other side.
pelvis moves and you still have your contralateral movement awake. It crossed your diagonal.
Yeah, yeah,
Huh?
yeah,
If
yep.
you didn't have a diagonal in touch, it'd be a different answer. But I know you have your diagonals in touch because we're working on those.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Okay, that's why we do the steering wheel and all of this, and the heart hug does the other part. Okay, so now, just as you're sitting, notice your heels, because if one heel is up, then that means the other hip is raised up. That
Right.
means the psoas is shortened on that other side. And it may be different when you're standing, but right now in the sitting, we know that that's what it is.
Hmm.
And now go and tilt your head to the other side. Does it push the other heel up very much? Pull the other heel up. Go back to
No.
the go back to your first side. Tilt your head to your right. Does when you tilt your head to your right, does your left heel come up?
Yeah. No.
No. Okay, tilt your head to your left. Does your right heel come up?
Yeah. Eventually. Yeah.
Eventually, eventually. Okay. So you know what we're doing?
What do we
We're
do?
we're moving through ugh,
Through the
bad,
whole spine?
I'm going to use bad language. So forgive me. We're moving through the crookedness of the spine. Okay?
Right.
Right? Because the spine isn't perfect. It's not exactly lined up
Right.
perfectly on anybody because we're more one-sided than the other. So
I
we're
see.
a little bit scoliotic, we're a little bit bent, and we're a little bit rotated.
Got it.
Okay, so when we're making these movements ever so slightly, one side's going to be easier than the other, not because you have a hip injury,
But
but
because I'm
because
human.
you're you. just just because you're you.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay? So
So
now
this is just bending the head, right? That's
this
all I'm
is
doing.
this is bending the head with the idea of it moving through all of you,
Right. Right. Got it.
right? This is
Yeah.
bending the head, just tilting your ear towards that shoulder with the idea of shifting the weight, but don't shift the weight primarily of the pelvis. Shift the weight through the head
Okay. Got it.
and let the head be the instigator that pushes down the um, thoracic spine, that pushes through, transmits through the thoracic spine and makes its way all the way to your hip.
Got it.
And take your time, go slowly from one side to the other.
I I I just want to say that this feels amazing already.
I know, I feel it with you. And in the smallness, it's even more amazing
Mm.
because you're waking up the connection between each vertebrae. Never do we use each vertebrae one at a time. Always we just take the whole movement as a whole.
Mm.
That's one of the that's one of the things that is the brilliance of Feldenkrais awareness through movement. Awareness, awareness
Mm.
of the movement,
Mm.
of the movements. And then awareness of your breath with the movement.
Now, it feels to me that I am eventually or very slowly lengthening my whole axis through this.
You are because you stop shortening.
Mm. You are amazing.
And no,
Amazing.
you are. The psoas gets to do what she is designed to do. I think she's a she.
Oh, definitely.
The psoas gets to do what she is designed to do, so she is not encumbered and overused and exhausted all the time.
Mm.
And notice what is luscious, where is a sense of relief,
My shoulders, by the way.
because it's connected. Your
Mm.
rib cage, your shoulders are
Mm.
on
Mm.
that circular
Mm.
basket of ribs.
Mm.
If you only did this in the next week,
Mm.
keeping in mind all the other lessons that we've done.
Mm.
Now, when you're finished, take yourself and come back to the middle. Just take your time.
Okay.
Okay, I'm writing myself notes, so I have an idea what to put in the description for you in the
Great.
lesson.
Great.
Okay, so now, I had a place I was. Ah, Okay, now what I'd like you to do is your hands are, because this will be good for your shoulder, good with your shoulders. By the way, notice, let yourself rest again. Notice where you're sitting and where is your head. Right? It's not so far
It's
over to
not
the
so far. No.
right. A little is a little, but it doesn't
Mhm.
have to be so much. So, because at one point you were all the way
Yeah,
down
I know.
like this,
I know. I
yeah?
know.
And that's a lot of work.
That's
That's a
great.
lot of work on the body.
That is great.
And then you just go in, keep checking, keep checking.
Mm. Mm.
I used to tell people, be a fine BMW. The thing that set the BMWs aside back in the 80s and 90s is it had sensing systems, constantly sensing every time to keep things in balance. When
Wow.
other cars like a Ford and all those other cars didn't do that.
Wow.
So imagine you're that fine-tuned vehicle, sensing, noticing,
Mm. Mm.
balance, sensing, noticing, balance. And then the light comes on and goes out of balance. Oh,
Mm.
okay. So all I have to do is go back, do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, whatever these lessons are that
Mm.
creates back the balance. For me, many are my favorite, but some of my favorite are when I lie down and I go to bed. When I go to bed and I lie down, I just check through my system and notice where my body is in relationship to my psoas. So I am not my psoas is not me. So don't think I only live, eat, and breathe psoas. But I know that it gets hiked up.
Right.
It gets shortened. And so, and if I'm cooking a lot on the right side, I'm
Mm.
chopping,
Mm.
cooking, then I'm probably doing something that's engaging the psoas more on the right side.
Mm.
All I want to do is go to bed, and this is a lifelong mission. Go to bed, let everything go back into harmony and rebalance.
Mm.
So that when I wake up tomorrow morning, I am a younger version of me,
I love it.
aside from arthritis.
That is the biggest caveat I have ever heard
It's
coming
okay.
from me.
You gotta have a kitty. So this is what I do when I wake up. My little Siamese, she has a thing. She jumps on me. Usually, I've been cooking all night. I clean, I scrub, I clean my own house. Da 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 da. So I put my hand on her, and I'm like, oh, my fingers, my joints, oh, my hands, my oof, oh,
Oh.
and I just rub it along her
Mm.
curves. I then give a few on top of her head. This is her head, like this. And while she's getting the benefit, and she does a top secret, super quiet purr,
Oh.
not like our other cat who's like, you can hear him across the room purring. So I do that. I get the enjoyment of the vibration.
Mm.
And then I turn my hand and I go under her belly and I rub her under the belly so I feel it on the top of my hands.
Mm.
So my
Mm.
sensory nerves that go to the skin get feedback and go back into the body. And now I do this and I go, "Oh, my fingers feel better." Like like
Mm.
like better, like 99.9% better.
Wow.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I
And this morning,
do. I
even
do.
this morning, I thought, "What am I gonna do when I finally don't have cats anymore?"
Well,
Well,
why would you ever not have cats?
when I get to a certain age, it wouldn't be right to have animals because who will take them if I die first?
Oh, I see. Oh my gosh.
It's a long-standing problem that
Of
older people get
course.
animals and then their kids say, "We'll take them." The
Yeah.
person dies, the kids don't take them for whatever reason.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And now it's up on the internet needing to rehome a 10-year-old, a 14-year-old pet that was a beloved pet of a person who died or was moved.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
so I do have a friend who's an animal rescuer who said, "I will always take your animals." So
Oh, well, then you don't have to worry.
I know. And then Steve goes, "Really? Then that means this isn't the last poodle or the last."
I love it.
Okay. So
Now,
that
what
being
do I
said,
do? Now, I don't have cats. I don't have dogs. I do not have pets. I have a Steinway, but I don't have
right.
pets.
But
So
that's what
yes, that's what I do. I do the
the
bell hand.
the
Yeah.
bell hand is the thing.
Okay. All
Do you
right.
see? And
I can
then
feel
we
it.
do the bell hand. After we do the bell hand, and we do it in the air, we do it on the table, the bed,
So,
we then do it on the area that is the area that could get some benefit.
yes.
Excuse me, the right shoulder for you. Yes, right?
Both
So,
show. Both.
okay, both shoulders. And not only that, the bell hand helps. I'm writing this down. One sec. The bell hand helps when one hand isn't quite working as well as the other hand.
Okay.
So sometimes as we age, we'll notice that we can do things on one hand, but it doesn't quite do it with the same integrity. It's different.
Hmm.
Whether there's spinal nerves, whether it's a neurodegenerative,
Yes.
whatever, right?
Of course.
But when we keep doing this, when we keep giving the feedback from
Hmm.
inside, from the outside to the inside, it'll change the brain.
Okay. Oh, wow. That is amazing. That's amazing. Well, that's very interesting that you say that because with a piano, the left hand teaches the right hand when the right hand has trouble with something, and the opposite.
That's right.
So there you
And
go.
that
That's
and that passes through the corpus callosum of the brain. So you
wow.
have the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, and then you have these nerve fibers that are like, I don't even know how many nerve fibers. It's such a rich highway of nerve fibers called the corpus callosum that
Wow.
connects each hemisphere. So that is why the left hand teaches the right side of the brain, the right hand teaches the left side. All you need to do is take one hand, work it on one side of the brain, do it a few times on the other hand, and it transmits that information to the other side like that.
Amazing. Amazing.
I
Amazing.
will
Amazing.
give you a short story.
Please.
I was working with a girl, 16 years old, who had been in a terrifically huge accident. Post the accident, her brain was injured so badly they did a hemispherectomy. They took out one half of her brain, completely cut down the corpus callosum.
Wow.
8 months later, after her corpus callosum is after the hemisphere, the whole half of the brain is removed, I'm working with her a few times a week. The mother is bringing her a few times a week. I was I had probably been practicing maybe only 12 years, 10 years at the time. And so what a difference between 10 and 40, right? That, people think at 10 they're a master at it. So, and my specialty was working with brain injury. My passion was working with brain injury. And so, but I did a typical lesson. At the end of every lesson, I ended with a typical lesson, which was just a typical boring lesson in Feldenkrais. Not where I went to the bottom of her feet
Mm.
because I didn't know what else to do. And because it also affected how she walked, right? Because that one side didn't work.
Of course. Of
And
course.
so, and she couldn't coordinate contralateral walking. And so I would focus on the bottom of the foot. I'd start with a good foot because that's a typical Feldenkrais way. And I'd work with it, work with it, work with it. And then I'd go to the not so good foot, meaning that side of the body.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, one day, I do the lesson on the good foot. I go over to the other foot. And in a moment, the other foot improved.
Wow.
And I went, wait a minute. That can't happen. There's no corpus callosum. There's no other half of the brain. So Moshe's theory of if you work one foot and then go to the other, it'll transmit through the corpus callosum of the brain. And that the other foot will learn the lesson immediately. One half of the body, the other half of the body. Well, that can't happen if she doesn't even have the other half of the brain. How could that be? And I'm now beside myself. Moshe didn't know what he was talking about. Well, if he didn't know what he was talking about on that, what else didn't he know he was talking about? Wait a minute, everything I've been doing is a farce, right? Now I don't know what I'm talking about, right? So I went, and I said something to the mom, and I went, huh. She goes, what? And I go, that's strange. And she said, what? And I go, according to what I just did, it would imply she has the other half of the brain. What I just did, it doesn't make sense that what I just did transferred immediately to the other side of her body, and the other side of her body picked up the information that fast and improved in a nano moment. How did that happen? And she goes, oh no, I can assure you, we have pictures of the MRI of her brain. It's completely black on that left side. It's completely black. It's not there. She goes, but you know what? We're going back out to the brain center. We'll get another MRI. We're going out there next week. I'll let you know. And I go, okay. She calls me on the phone. Oh my God.
She's growing brain.
She grew brain.
No.
In the 7 months of me working with her.
Jeez.
And when I said 7 months after the injury, I meant 7 years. It was I got to work with her starting 7 years after the injury. And I only worked with her 7 months. And in the 7 months after the injury, which was 7 years earlier, she was growing back brain.
Unbelievable.
And then she was getting contralateral walking. And she was being able to get up. And she was getting contralateral movement. So we would do things with the hand, crossing over the midline, all of these movement lessons. She was getting it. Her speech started to improve, meaning she could be understood, because before that she couldn't talk. Wow. Everything was improving. And she was it woke up contralateral because the other half was growing. And I do my little sarcastic joke, the Elinor version. Wow, I was just looking to give her good Feldenkrais lessons. I was never even looking to give her another half of the brain. That was my little wryness on myself. So, go figure, the extra benefit was she grew more brain.
Wow.
But that in itself is incredible conversation.
Unbelievable.
So you keep with the piano, because
oh God, yes.
right?
Don't worry.
Now, just know the whole time we were talking, look at how much in the middle you are.
I know. I noticed. I was looking at myself and I thought to myself, am I doing this deliberately or is this just happening? And it's a little bit of both,
It is. Yes. It's awareness of
but
self.
that's yes.
That's the
Yes, totally.
deliberateness. The
Totally. Totally.
deliberateness you're saying is your awareness of yourself. The
Yes.
moment you catch it, just start doing a little bit of the head going side to side. As the head goes side to side, see your whole spine, but don't initiate it
Mm,
from your pelvis. That's a different lesson.
okay.
In this lesson, I want you initiating it from your head down your spine.
Got it.
Do you
Can
see
I
what I'm
do
saying?
it? Can I start it from my ears?
Yes. Ear to the shoulder, ear to the shoulder. Yes.
Okay.
Right? It's a simple tilt one ear to that shoulder, tilt the other ear to that shoulder.
Oh, I love this feeling.
Yes. Bringing the ear toward the shoulder. And then curiously asking yourself, what happens from there?
Yeah.
You don't have to know the anatomy.
It feels amazing.
And then you notice your breathing. And you notice this feeling that you feel in your belly. There's some
Absolutely.
there's something
Absolutely.
in here that becomes more relaxed. There's something below the diaphragm in the top part of the belly that can just go ah. And you know what that is? That's the psoas connecting up there.
Amazing.
That's the
That's
psoas.
so as I tell you. Amazing. 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 Amazing.
And
One
then,
question.
yeah,
Now, you said that the psoas connects to the pubis bone? Pubic
no,
bone?
no, no, to the inside of the femur.
To the inside of the femur. Okay.
Yeah, to the
Okay.
inside of the femur, to the
Okay.
inside of your thigh bone.
Okay. Okay. So if it starts with the thoracic vertebra,
Uh-huh.
how does it get around to the inside of the femur? Where
Okay,
is it going through?
I'll show you.
Okay.
Let's-
Sorry, I don't remember.
No
I know I
worries.
saw it. I know I saw it.
Yeah. No, 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 no. Okay, I'm just gonna go with this one. Hold on. Um, uh, one sec. Where did it go? Yeah. Nope. Oh, I could use that one. Hold on. Wow, it opened up everything. One sec, I gotta close everything. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Hold on. So let me screen share. Hmm, okay.
Oh, there we are. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yes, I see.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Oh, yeah, amazing. So it goes
It's not a
inside.
perfect. Yeah, so here
I
it's
see.
starting there at the 12th thoracic vertebrae,
Hmm.
and then it travels down and it connects to every rib.
Every vertebra.
I meant every vertebrae. Yeah, thank you. And look how that connects to the inside of the leg.
I see. I see. I see. I see. Well, that makes perfect sense.
Now here's the psoas, and here's the iliopsoas.
Yes, yes, I see the inside of
And
the
you
iliac.
see, and look how they both come together and connect.
Yes,
Not
yes, I
just
see.
this alone. It's not
Yes, I
the
see.
psoas alone.
Yes, yes, I see, I see.
And then the vagus nerve wraps all through here, and then it's all around in the belly. Da 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 da. So if the psoas it gets hiked up or is shortened, it's dehydrated, it's dry, it's crackly, etc., etc., it's going to wear and tear on a hip. And I believe that the degradation that's happening in more and more people's hip joints, uh,
Mm,
where they never fell and broke a hip, but they need a hip replacement anyway. I believe that it is the psoas chronic uh, yanking up of the psoas, overuse of the psoas. It could have been a ballerina who lifted her leg up above her head for so many years. All of that, that's called stretching the psoas. The psoas is meant to be keep the integrity of things in place. We're
I
not
see,
meant to lift that leg, et cetera, et cetera.
I see.
Sometimes a fall and a hit sideways into that hip, or into the greater trochanter, and it just shoves the head of the trochanter into the the head of the humerus, excuse me, into the socket more. And then we are walking on it, and the psoas is shortened, twisted, torqued, and all of that. Then it creates another version of a degradation in the joint. That's why people need a lot of good body work of people who know what they're doing in teaching these kind of movement lessons.
There's the rub. Yeah, definitely. Um, what was I gonna say? Well, I had that fall, like 14 years ago. So, which I think, well, that's the first thing you said to me when we first met was that everything has to do with that fall, and which makes total sense to me. Um, because I never, it was never investigated what the repercussions of that fall was,
You
except
know,
for my jaw.
and let me tell you something. You could have been a Feldenkrais trainer
Yes,
extraordinaire,
and
and
still
it
have that.
still and
Yeah,
still could have happened,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Meaning fall is not if, it's when,
Yes,
right? Okay, so it happens.
yeah.
Um, it's just how do we live our life with less falling rather than more falling, better
Mhm,
falling versus
mhm,
worse falling,
mhm.
you know. But still, I was talking to my husband last night about our dear teacher, Ruthie Alon, the creator of Bones for Life, Walk for Life, all of that. She was doing the Feldenkrais method as a trainer. Man, she was one of the original trainers. And
Amazing.
she was, 80 something years old, and she loved gardening. And we kept saying, please don't get on a ladder. Please don't climb up in your mulberry tree. But she loved picking the mulberries from the mulberry tree. And lo and behold, she fell. Um, and then lo and behold, 2 years later or a year later, she did it again, even though she promised us she wouldn't, because she really wanted to get into the mulberry tree to take, and she fell. Now, when she fell so hard onto concrete or onto stone, and nobody was around. None of her neighbors were home. She fell
Wow.
so hard, it threw her shoes off of her.
Whoa.
And in her late 80s, maybe 89,
Whoa.
and didn't break a bone.
Oh, amazing.
She's the creator of Bones for Life.
Amazing. Amazing.
Still damaged her hip.
Wow.
A year later, year and a half later, she needed a hip replacement. Still. And even though the hip was never broken, what they saw was incredible arthritis and stuff in the hip. Okay, I get it. That's when I went, you know what? Isn't that amazing?
Mm,
Isn't that amazing? That's the thing that, which is why we're so lucky to have modern technology and good, excellent surgical procedures done
mm,
by intelligent,
mm,
smart, insightful human beings
mm.
to replace our parts, because they do get worn, torn, damaged, worn off, a little overused, this and that, etc., etc.
Mm,
It doesn't mean Feldenkrais isn't the answer for everything, but it'll sure help before the surgery and after the surgery. So
mm,
hopefully you never need another one,
mm, 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 mm,
because sometimes we need the surgery,
mm, mm,
because
mm.
sometimes we need the part to be fixed.
We're just like a car,
Yeah,
a
sometimes,
BMW.
right. Even the BMW needs new tires.
Yes, yes, definitely.
They need to be replaced. So that being said,
Mm,
right?
mm.
What are the things we do to notice in our BMW? So we're tilting the ear side to side. We're paying attention to that, bringing our breath. Okay. And then we go back, and you're going to do this several
Yeah,
moments a day,
yes.
several times a day, where you just check in and do a couple of them. And you'll go, oh, look, I have so much learning. And then you can give a little bit of that, but don't overdo it so that you don't feel like, well, shit and crap. Look at that. I keep having to do the same thing. Ah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just check in. Every night before I go to bed, I check in and go, well, go figure. There I am hiked up. Aren't I glad I checked in? And I'm asleep.
Can you I love it. I love it. I'm
I
gonna try it.
checked.
I'm gonna try it. But, can I do that lying down too?
Yes.
Just been okay.
Yes. What you can do when you lie down, roll the head a little bit
Mhm.
from
I do
side to
that,
side.
all the time. I
And
love doing
in the rolling the head, you'll
yeah.
notice a release that happens down between the
Yes.
shoulders. But what you'll notice is, here's your body, here's here's your mattress.
Mm.
Okay.
Mhm.
You're lying on the mattress facing to the ceiling.
Mhm.
When you go to lie down, what you're going to notice when you notice is part of you is up.
Yes.
And then you'll go, ah, and half of you will all of a sudden really straighten out
And
for
yeah.
the to the mattress, and at that point your breathing will shift.
Okay. I will try that tonight.
And when your breathing shifts, it goes into the deep breathing, and it's the breathing that is related to all that deep sleep.
Amazing. I love it.
I
That's
do
wonderful.
too.
Wonderful.
So one last thing in this workshop, right?
Multifaceted.
Always. So after you do the head tilting one side to the other,
Mhm.
just going to do a little bit of the shoulders. So
Yes. Yes.
what we're doing is, let's see if you can.
I can see you. Yeah, I can see you.
Okay. So it's
Mm.
ready. So it's up and down,
Oh,
up and down, and the hands are on your lap, and they just go up and down ever so slightly. So remember, we did before with the poles, gliding the shoulder blades
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're bringing one up forward, one up back. Then we bring the other one up and forward and back. So we just practice that a little without instigating muscle. It's just the skeleton. Just the skeleton. Just moving it effortlessly. And then it's the one up, one back, one up, one back. So they're up and back. Because after we've done this side to side, we want to give just there, and there's the rocking of the pelvis. So look what's happening.
Oh, I see. I see. I see. I got it. So we've got both side. We've got the side to side, and we have the back and forth.
Right.
Got it.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I
So,
do.
and that lesson, I could go in for 45 minutes just in that cell. And I may do like 15 minutes, 20 minutes of that next time. I may not,
Okay.
just depending on where you are with what you
Okay.
need. But
Okay.
so what you're going to do is that little bit of the tilting the
Mm-hmm.
head. It's
Mm-hmm.
all instigated with the ear. and that how that moves down to the psoas, how that moves down to your sit bones, and notice where your heels are. So you
Right.
start number one. Let me write this in my notes. Hold on. Go to my notes. Do, do, do. Oh, uh, where are my notes? Please. There we go. Okay. So start with awareness of heels to floor. And then tilt ear to shoulder and other ear to that shoulder. Feel it down the spine. And then awareness of psoas, hold on, and sit bones. And then we're going to finish with sitting and shoulder raise and circle forward and back. Boy, that is not a good description, but I know, hopefully you'll know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
And
And you use the word arc
yes. Oh, thank you. And
because
arc.
that works with the piano, and I really understand that.
Thank you. And
That feels good, actually. The idea of an arc really feels good.
yes, the arc, it's an arc. It's an arc. There. It's so different when I'm teaching it and then I go to write it and then I get into the other half of my brain. But at least I'll know what to put in the description on the video when I send it to you.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
My
And
dear,
then,
thank you. You've made my day. You've made my 2 weeks, actually.
and this is going to help keep all of that
Yeah,
organized.
yeah.
So let me know when. Okay, I'm going to hit. So that's our lesson for today.